Hi, welcome back. Hope you are doing very good. So this is the next video in the series of tutorials on spin in quantum mechanics, and in this video we'll see some of the very important properties of Pauli matrices. So in one of my previous videos we had developed the form of the Pauli matrices. We had seen what are its relation with the spin matrices for an electron, and in the end we found these explicit forms, matrix forms for the Pauli matrices sigma x, sigma y and sigma z. So in case you haven't watched that video, the link is in the description. You can check it out from there. But in any case, I'll keep this video self-sufficient. So let's just start seeing some of the properties of the Pauli matrices. So we'll start with the fact that these Pauli matrices sigma x, y and z, they square to identity, and this can be very easily seen from this explicit form of the Pauli matrices. So we can start doing it, for example, for sigma x. So if I calculate sigma x squared, so that is sigma x multiplied by itself, and if you just use the simple multiplication, matrix multiplication rules, you will see, for example, for the first element you'll get 0 plus 1. So the first element would be 1, and for others you can very easily see that you'll get 1 0 0 1. So that is an identity. So you can see explicitly that the square of the sigma x matrix, that is equal to the identity matrix, a 2 by 2 identity matrix, and I'll just call it I maybe, or 1, whatever. So it also follows for the other matrices. So the other sigma matrices, sigma Pauli matrices, for example sigma y, you can explicitly see that that also squares to identity, and sigma z, that also squares to identity. So all the Pauli matrices, they square to identity. So this is one of the properties. The Pauli matrices, and there is one very straightforward consequence of this fact, that the eigenvalues of all of these three matrices, sigma x, sigma y and sigma z, the eigenvalues of all these three is equal to plus minus 1. This is a very straightforward fact, that if any matrix that square to identity, its eigenvalue would be plus minus 1. So that is why the eigenvalues of sigma x, sigma y and sigma z, sigma x, sigma y and sigma z, all three it would be plus 1 and minus 1. So this just follows from the fact that they square to identity. So this is one of the properties of Pauli matrices. So now we can look at another very important property of Pauli matrices, and that is related to the anti-commutators. So the Pauli matrices sigma x, y and z, they anti-commute. So the second property that we are going to look at is that the Pauli matrices anti-commute. So if I calculate the anti-commutator of two Pauli matrices, say sigma y and sigma x, so this is how we represent anti-commutators in quantum mechanics using the curly brackets. So the anti-commutator of the Pauli matrices is equal to 0. So the Pauli matrices anti-commute, and in quantum mechanics the anti-commutator of the two matrices, it could be written as sigma x, sigma y plus sigma y, sigma x. So if you calculate this expression, you'll get 0 for the Pauli matrices. So, and we can see this explicitly using the form of the Pauli matrices here. So I can calculate the LHS here. So for the LHS, what I get is, I get sigma x, sigma y, and you can see if you multiply using the usual matrix multiplication rules, so you get here, and that, as you can see, it adds to a 0 matrix, a matrix whose all the elements are, all the entries of that matrix is 0. So, and this is equal to, this is the 0 matrix and this is your RHS. So what we see from this discussion is that the Pauli matrices, the anti-commutator of the Pauli matrices, sigma x, sigma y, that is equal to 0. And this computation, this very simple computation, you can also do for sigma y, the anti-commutator of sigma y and sigma z. So if you calculate the anti-commutator of sigma y and sigma z, that would also give you 0. And also if you do it for sigma z and sigma x, that would also be equal to 0. So the Pauli matrices, they anti-commute among themselves. So this is another important property of Pauli matrices. So the second property is that Pauli matrices anti-commute. And we can combine these two properties that we have just proved, that they anti-commute and they square to identity. So we can use the Kronecker delta symbol and then we can combine these two in one compact equation. So I can write it as, I can write one relation here, sigma I, sigma j, anti-commutator, that would be equal to twice delta ij into identity. 2 by 2 identity. So this is just a 2 by 2 identity matrix. 1 0 0 1. Where I and j, the symbols I, the index I and j, it could take any value between x, y, and z. So the indices for Pauli matrices sigma x, sigma y, and sigma z. And delta ij is the Kronecker delta symbol, and that would be equal to 0 if I is not equal to j, and it would be equal to 1 if I is equal to j. So now you can see, for example, when I is not equal to j, maybe I is x and j is y, so that would be equal to sigma x, sigma y, anti-commutator. And for I is not equal to j, for delta xy, that vanishes. The Kronecker delta vanish for I not equal to j. So sigma x, sigma y anti-commutator, for example, that would be equal to 0 because of this Kronecker delta. And when I is equal to j, for example, I equals j equals x, then you'll get an anti-commutator of sigma x and sigma x on the left hand side. So you'll get sigma x squared plus sigma x squared, that would be twice identity, because as we have seen here that the sigma matrices, they square to identity. So on the left hand side I get twice of identity, and on the right hand side also I get twice of identity, because the delta ij, that would be delta xx, and that would be equal to 1. So this expression is nothing but just a compact way of writing the two properties that we have just proved. So this is the kind of anti-commutator relations that the Pauli matrices obey. And I would also like to mention here that these form of the anti-commutator relations that the Pauli matrices obey, it is an example of a more general algebra which goes by the name of Clifford algebra. Clifford algebra. So Pauli matrices are three special matrices, 2 by 2 matrices which obey these form of anti-commutation relations. There could be other matrices. For example, we can also think about Dirac matrices for electron. So Dirac matrices for electrons, it's a set of 4 matrices, and each of the matrix is 4 by 4 dimensional. So those 4 matrices, they obey the same algebra that the Pauli matrices obey. So that is also an example of the Clifford algebra. Or there could be other matrices, a larger set of matrices, some 10 by 10 dimensional matrices, etc. Those can also obey the same anti-commutator relation. So Pauli matrices is just an example, a special example of the general algebra which goes by the name of Clifford algebra. And this Clifford algebra for Pauli matrices, that is just attributed to this specific form of the matrices for the Pauli matrices. So now we can go ahead and we can look at another important property for Pauli matrices, and that is that the Pauli matrices are traceless. So the third important property that we are going to look at is that Pauli matrices are traceless. So if you calculate the trace of the Pauli matrices, sigma I, that would be equal to 0, where I could take any value from x, y, and z. So if you look at the trace, so the trace of a matrix is the sum of diagonal elements of the matrix, as you know. So if you look at the form of the Pauli matrices here, and if you calculate the sum of the diagonal elements, so for example, you look at the sigma x and sigma y, for these the diagonal elements are 0, so the sum of diagonal elements is also 0, so sigma x and sigma y are traceless matrices. And now if you look at sigma z, the diagonal elements individually are not 0, but the sum of the diagonal elements 1 and minus 1, that is equal to 0. So these Pauli matrices, they are traceless. The sum of diagonal entries are 0, and that you can see explicitly from the form of the Pauli matrix. So these are traceless matrices, and this also is a consequence of the fact that Pauli matrices obey Clifford algebra. So as we have seen here, that the Pauli matrices have this anti-commutator algebra, and any set of matrices, even if you talk about the Dirac matrices, the 4 by 4 Dirac matrices, they are also traceless matrices. So any matrices that obey the Clifford algebra, they are traceless matrices, and this fact is also reflected in the explicit matrix form for the Pauli matrices. So these are traceless matrices. So these are some of the properties that I wanted to prove in this video, some of the properties of Pauli matrices that I wanted to prove in this video. And two of these properties, namely that the Pauli matrices are traceless and they square to identity, these can be proved in a more rigorous way using the anti-commutation relations of the Pauli matrices and some other facts about Pauli matrices. And these I have done in separate videos. So the link for those are in the description. You can check those out from there. And also I would like to mention that these are not all of the properties that we have proved in this video. There are other properties as well for the Pauli matrices. For example, we are yet to see what are the commutator relations that are obeyed by the Pauli matrices, what are the specific form of product of two Pauli matrices, what are the traces of the product of two Pauli matrices, and these are some important properties that we'll start looking from the next videos in these tutorials. So you can check out the next videos for that. So this is pretty much for this video. Hope you liked it. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, you can write to me in the comment section. I would be happy to address those. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.